It is absolutely infuriating to witness negotiations surrounding the stimulus and economic relief. If Americans do not get anything before the November 3rd election, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen until the next session of Congress takes place and convenes in late January in 2021. I can't even begin to describe to you how catastrophic that would be. How many more people won't be able to pay the rent and put food on the table. Congress has to act, but they're just, it's like every single roadblock that you can imagine. Whenever we get a little bit of a ray of hope, it just pops up and throws all of that hope into the gutter. So at first, Donald Trump unilaterally decided to tank negotiations. Okay, that's absolutely ridiculous because he's saying we'll pass one after I'm reelected, but if he's not reelected, then we don't expect him to do anything as a lame duck president. So that was disappointing, and then he started to change his tune, and he says, okay, you know what? I see that that's a bad look. Let's do $1.8 trillion. Nancy Pelosi then says, well, no, we want $2.2 trillion. Now, what Trump was proposing wasn't that different than Nancy Pelosi. I mean, neither of these are perfect. They're incrementalist approaches, but I mean, honestly, at this point, anything is going to help. What we really should be giving people is $2,000 a month for the duration of this pandemic. But I mean, if you give them anything, even another one-time payment of $1,200, it's better than nothing. They need relief now. They don't have time for political games. And then Nancy Pelosi says, actually, we're not going to do that because it's not good enough. But guess what? Now, Mitch McConnell is saying, you know what? Both of you are asking for too much. Trump's $1.8 trillion and Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion, that's too much. We're not going to do that. We're going to do $0.5 trillion. So while all of this is taking place, you have, Republicans basically trying to do the bare minimum just to make sure that they can pass and not, tank before the election. You have Nancy Pelosi, I guess, not trying to give Trump a victory. She made a fool of herself in that interview with Wolf Blitzer on CNN. But when I see all of this and I keep seeing roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, it really seems as if Congress is just not going to do anything before the election, which means people are going to be without help. Small businesses will close. And it's just, we have responded to this as a failed state would. And I say that over and over again, but honestly, it should be astonishing to everyone that we're the richest country in the world, and we gave our citizens a one-time stimulus payment of $1,200. That's it. That is it. So we're going to talk about where we're at currently. First, I want to show you Ro Khanna's response because he was kind of put on blast in a way by Nancy Pelosi when Wolf Blitzer asked her about, why she won't take his advice and accept Trump's $1.8 trillion deal. And I think his response was perfectly reasonable.
I say our government is failing you. This is a time where we need to do a lot more, and it pains me that we're not being able to deliver for them. And that's why I'm going to come out and say that we need to get something done with as much power as I have. I acknowledge that I'm not a committee chair. I acknowledge that I don't have as much power in the institution. But you know what? I'm an equal member of Congress. I represent a constituency just like 435 other members, and all of our perspectives really do matter. And what I'm saying is coming from the heart. It's coming because I've been affected by the impact in my district, which is the heart of Silicon Valley. Think about this, Wolf. If in one of the richest districts in the world you have this much suffering, imagine how much suffering there is across this country.
Well, if you just walk around.
So I think that everything that Ro Khanna is saying here, it's reasonable. How could you not agree with what he's saying here? And that point at the end is really important. Like, even if he represents one of the most wealthiest districts in the country in Silicon Valley, if they need to see relief, if his constituents need to see relief, then imagine how one of the poorer districts in the country are faring. But, even though Nancy Pelosi made a fool of herself, thankfully, lucky for her, but unfortunately for the American people, Mitch McConnell kind of saved her by being so terrible, because now he's saying, you know what? I'm the one now who's unilaterally tanking all negotiations, which is astonishing to me because he's up for re-election, and he'll probably still be re-elected, but he doesn't care about anything except confirming Donald Trump's far-right Supreme Court nominee. But for more on this, let's go to The Hill, where Jordan Carney explains Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Thursday shot down the prospect of a coronavirus deal totaling $1.8 trillion and $2.2 trillion, the goalposts of the current talks between Democrats and the White House. McConnell's comments, made to reporters in Kentucky, underscored the divisions between President Trump and Senate Republicans on a fifth coronavirus package, with the GOP leader preparing to force a vote on a $500 billion bill next week. Quote, "I don't think so. That's where the administration is willing to go. My members think $500 billion, highly targeted, is the best way to go," McConnell said, asked about the prospect of a deal between $1.8 trillion and $2.2 trillion. So do you see how this is going in circles? You know, the Democrats in the House of Representatives, they passed the HEROES Act months ago. Again, it's another bill that's not perfect, but at this point, desperation overrides everything. Get it passed. Get it done. Mitch McConnell has not taken that up. So Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House are saying, let's pass this. And Trump is saying, no. But now Trump is saying, let's pass this. And then Nancy Pelosi was saying, no, pass mine. And then Mitch McConnell is saying, I'm not going to pass either of yours. Meanwhile, people are suffering. And I know it seems like I'm concern trolling by saying, oh, think of the American people. But I don't think that these idiots in Congress understand that shit's going to hit the fan really fast if people can't pay their rent. Civil society cannot withstand mass evictions, mass starvation on this scale. And we're seeing activism express that the American people aren't going to take it anymore, because there was a group of people that locked the court doors so people could not be evicted. Take a look at this. That's just the beginning. Now, Donald Trump's moratorium on evictions expires as of January 1st. Then millions of Americans are going to be forced to pony up months of back rent. And guess what? Most of them won't be able to do that. So we've got to pass another moratorium, extend that. And additionally, Trump is undermining his own moratorium on evictions. And people are starving, they are losing their jobs, and as a result, their healthcare, which they need now, especially during a pandemic. I mean, even though our government, it's not surprising that it's dysfunctional, to be this dysfunctional, to be utterly paralyzed in the face of an unprecedented crisis, truly should shock everyone. If we don't change things, it's just going to get worse. And I don't want to perpetuate this false equivalence and suggest that, both sides are equally terrible, because it has been Donald Trump and Republicans that have held up negotiations, right? Democrats passed the HEROES Act months ago. But Nancy Pelosi the other day was rightfully called out for playing politics with people's lives when it looked as if there was a ray of hope because Trump decided to break because he didn't want to look like shit before an election. But now it doesn't matter who's going to get blamed or, who is holding up things. What matters is that people get relief. And the fact that they very likely won't get that before the election is honestly just, it's shocking, even to me, who expects to be disappointed in our so-called government.
You know the thing. You're getting nervous, man.